Hi everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make light soup. These are all my ingredients. We're going to go through them one at a time. Before we start, I just want to say pardon me. I do have a 1-year-old in the house, so you might hear a little bit of screaming every now and then. For my soup, the protein that I use is goat and crab legs. I use lobster tail as well, but I don't have it today. I've tried it without the lobster tail and tastes just as good, just as delicious. This, I guarantee you, is a very, very delicious meal. Probably the best soup I've had. So I'm gonna be using goat meat today. I have both the boneless and the one with bone in. I like to mix it up a little. I like to have some with bone and some without. So it's really up to you if you want to just go with one without, the bones all through, or one with the bones all through. It's really, really up to you. It doesn't make any difference. This is just, my preference. We do use the goat. We use the crab legs. I use whole peppers, tomatoes, Maggi, ginger, garlic, and whole onions. I don't know if I mentioned onions already, but I just want to make sure I don't miss anything. Actually, one thing that I did forget that, you don't want to forget is salt. You do add salt as well. So you want to have salt in there. So we're going to get started. I'm going to start with washing the goat before I put it in the pot first, and then we can go on from there. So the goat is all washed up and ready to go. I added water. As you can see, my pot is quite big. You don't need to fill it up. I just make enough for my family and a little bit extra. You can make, again, as much as you want, as little as you want. It's always best to use a pot that's a little bit bigger, because you don't want stuff spilling off out of the pot. So I just have the goat and the water in here. The water is just a little bit above the goat. The goat I'm using is actually frozen, so once it starts to cook or boil, all that water from the frozen goat will add to the water, but this should be enough. I washed up and prepared everything else. So you want to wash up your onions, clean it up and wash it, and you add it. So you add 2 whole onions to it. So 2 whole onions, 2 Maggi cubes. You want to crush them in there, like so. Spread it around. Get the other one, crush it in there as well, like so. That's good. Just for a little bit, that's a vegetable stock cube, so it's just for flavor. You have your 2 whole hot peppers as well, so I'm gonna add that in there. And this is the amount of ginger that I put in. You don't want to put too much, you don't want to put too little, you just want the right amount for what you're making. So if you're making any portion bigger than this, you might need something bigger. If you're making a portion smaller than this, you might need something smaller. But then it also depends on your preference. If you really like ginger, go for it. This is just how I do it to make it turn out the way it does. And then I have 3 cloves of garlic that I'm gonna add in there as well. Okay, I'm gonna add salt, so I'm just gonna measure it, and then I'll add salt, and then we're good to go. I'm not really one for measuring with a measuring spoon, to be honest. I just go by sight or by eye, see what would be enough. My Maggi cubes are a little bit salty as well, so I don't want to put too much. That's just about enough. I remember I haven't even added my tomatoes yet, and my crab legs. So this is the amount of salt I'm gonna put in. Like so. And then if it turns out that it's not salty enough towards the end, I can always add, extra salt and then leave it to boil for a little bit just so that it cooks. Sorry. But yeah, this is the amount of salt I would put in for now. Then I would turn on my cooker to a high for now. So really, I'm gonna have to let this boil until I feel like my goat is nice and tender enough. Not too tender where it's falling apart, just, you know, where you could sort of bite into it without having any trouble. So I've put it at high. I've put everything that I need to in there, and now I'm gonna cover it, and I'm gonna leave it there to boil for about 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, I'm gonna check on it and see how tender my goat is, and if not, you know, I'll leave it on for another 5, and you know, we'll go from there. So we'll leave it on there for about 15 minutes, and then we'll come check back when it's done. I kept the goat on a little longer. 15 minutes wasn't quite enough. So as you can see, it's all nice and boiled here, and there's still just as much water as, you know, there was when I first started. So the next step right now is just to take all of the extra ingredients that I had added in out. So like the onions, the pepper, the ginger, the garlic. So just take it all out is what I'll do next. Is take it all out and add it to the tomatoes. So this is the 3 tomatoes that I had shown you earlier. So now is the stage where we add the tomatoes, but we have to blend it first. What we're gonna do to blend it is we're gonna add the extra, you know, like the onion. Add the onion. So without that, so add the onions in there. So you're gonna have to take some time and look for everything. The onions are quite easy to find because they're huge, but I mean things like the garlic and the pepper. They're gonna be quite hard to find. So just find them all and add them to your blender. So I have my tomatoes, my 2 onions, my 2 peppers, my 3 garlic cloves, I don't know what the last one is, and my ginger. So I'm just gonna blend this, and once the blending is done, I'm gonna add it all back into the pot. Add it back into the pot, let it boil for another 5-10 minutes. Then I'll add my crab legs. So I'm gonna find time to break up these crab legs. All blended, ready to go. I'm just gonna lift that, put it here, take the cover off. As you can see, I left the goat boiling, make it even more tender, which is good. So I'm just gonna add this blended mixture to the pot, like so. Ooh. All the flavors in there, the ginger, the garlic, the onions, everything. So all that's in there. As you can see, I turn it down to medium, or just a little above medium. So now I'm just gonna stir it through. Looks delicious. It's not even done yet. So I'm gonna leave it there to come to a boil. I'll cover it again, and in the meantime, I'm gonna prep these crab legs, wash them, cut them up, and we'll see you right back. So this is how it looks now. It's getting thicker thanks to the tomatoes and everything else that I added. It's been on for, since the last stage, it's been on for about another 15 minutes. The goat wasn't as tender as I hoped it would be, but now I think it's getting there. So what will happen now is I prep the crab legs. I'm gonna add them to the pot now. I prep them and cut them up, so I'm gonna put them in one by one to the pot. Okay. I washed them, so make sure you wash them, right? Because they could be, you know, you don't know where they've been. Okay. So this is how it looks now with my added crab legs. Delicious. Okay, so this is how it looks. To serve, you might want to use a ladle. I mean, it's not done just yet. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cover it again for another, let's say, 15-20 minutes. For another 15-20 minutes. So I mean, like, it's an easy meal. It could take long, depending on how, you know, tough the goat is and everything. So this is another 15-20 minutes, and then it'll be good. I tasted for salt as well. I tasted for salt, and the salt that I initially added in the beginning wasn't enough. I had to put more, much more, just to make sure that you could taste it. But to everybody's different, right? I enjoy, you know, tasting my salt in my food. I don't want it to be tasteless. I could taste the pepper too. It's quite hot. See the thickness of the soup as well. There's people that do it really light. I like it. It's not too thick. It's not too light. It's just right, as you can see. Yeah. So we're gonna cover this, and yeah, we're just gonna wait for it to finish up, and we'll taste again for salt after we added the crab legs, and if we need to add more, we'll add more, and if not, this is it. So we're just gonna you know, covered it for another 15 minutes, and then should be good to go. Okay, so this is the finished product. The goat's tender, is enough salt, is enough pepper. It's just right. It's just right. So you can serve it up with anything, and this is how much I have. So you can see, I didn't really need this big pot, but it's always good to have. It's wide enough, you know, deep enough. It's pretty good. The salt's just perfect. So yeah, so that's all for the soup. So please remember to subscribe and to like. Thank you.